Surprise, surprise, sweet bird of paradox. We are back for another episode of I Know, the solo Beatles videocast now. Today I am joined by the author of the songs we were singing, the guided towards the Beatles lesser known tracks, Michael Jackson, FAQ, All Is Left to Know of the King of Pop, and the new book, Beatles and the Fandom of All the Years. I think that's called. There it is. Kiddo co-authored with Ken Womack. She's also the host of the best solo Beatles videocast, Talk More Talk, along with Tom Hunyadi, Ken Michaels, Joe Mayo, and Ken Womack. Kiddo Toole, welcome to I Know.
Thank you, Hudson. I've really been looking forward to this. I've been enjoying your show, and you've been a great addition to the Beatles community. And I'm so jealous that when I was 13, none of this existed. So I would have totally been doing this too. So welcome to the Beatles community.
Thank you, Kit. I am glad to be here, and we're glad to have you as a part of the Beatles community as well.
Oh, thank you.
So, Kit, first of all, before we get to the main topic, what is your favorite Paul McCartney album?
Oh gosh, that is so hard because it's like, do I want to go with sentimental favorite or like critical, because sentimental favorite would probably be Tug of War, uh, because that's one of, not the first Paul album I ever owned, but the second. The first one was Pipes of Peace.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's the first one because of Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Yep, as I've talked about before, that's how I got into Paul, because it was when first The Girl Is Mine, and then Say and Michael Jackson at the time was huge. I mean, huge. So that's when I bought Pipes of Peace, was because of Michael Jackson. Then it was like, oh, this Paul McCartney guy's pretty good, and I mean, I'd heard of him before that. I knew he was with the Beatles, but I wasn't as familiar with him. And so probably the second Paul album was Tug of War, and I still love that album.
It's such a great album.
Yep. I mean, I can't think of a bad track on it. I mean, there really isn't.
It's a little for me, but that's the only weak link on that album.
Yeah, I mean, it really, I just, really, even the weakest track is still, really good. If you want to talk, like critical, like, really great from beginning to end, Band on the Run still stands up for me. I mean, that from start to finish is really just a classic. But I didn't get into that album until much later, because I started with the 80s. I mean, it was, as I said, Pipes of Peace, Tug of War, Give My Regards to Broad Street. That was probably my third.
I love that album. I know everybody hates it, but I love it.
I mean, I don't like all of it, but I like parts of it. I like some of the Beatles remakes on that album. I mean, I liked The Long and Winding Road. I thought parts that were good. I thought, and No More Lonely Nights is that's a great pop song, great single. I think that still holds up.
That should have been a huge hit.
Yeah, and it was a big hit at the time. I mean, I remember seeing the video when that came out over and over again, and it was a big hit. But yeah, I mean, it should have been number one.
It should have been.
Yeah, and it came close, but not quite. But movies, a whole different story. But the soundtrack, was good.
What is your least favorite McCartney record?
Oh, that's easy. Driving Rain.
I love that album.
Really? That is the only Paul album in all that he's done that I never connected to. Now, we are going to do on a future Talk More Talk, we are going to do another listen with Driving Rain. So, maybe in the future, when I listen to it, maybe I'll change my mind. So I shouldn't say, maybe months from now, I'll say, you know what? I totally misjudged that album. But I just could not get next to that album at all. I don't know.
Is there any other bottom one for you?
Oh, and any other bottom one? Probably, I'm trying to think. I hate to say bottom, but New was another one I just couldn't get into quite as much. But I hate to say bottom because it's like, it's not horror. It's not a terrible album. It's just like, it's not one that I listen to on repeat. It was okay. I mean, there were some interesting cuts on there, but nothing that I like listen to over and over.
Yeah. Not Venus and Mars with your favorite song.
Yeah, Magneto Titanium Man, yeah, but other than that, there were great cuts on there. Okay. Just, cut that one out. Yeah, Tom will never let me forget that, ever.
I love that album, and that's my favorite song on the album.
Really? You're not going to let me forget it either. But that's what makes the world go round, I mean, you've seen enough of our shows too about about Press to Play. I mean, it's really funny that we've been, although Joe Mayo's come around a bit about that album. He used to hate it. And
I like that record now.
Yeah, I've never understood the just hate toward that record. I mean, I'm not saying it's his best.
It's far from his best.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely not. Yeah, but I mean, I know why everybody just hated that album, with a passion. I'm like, come on. I mean, there are some good moments on that record. Yeah. And, I just don't know why it got that much hate. Yeah. But,
I mean, for me, Flowers in the Dirt is the number 27 McCartney record.
Really? Now, see, that's another sentimental one for me because, because that when that came out, that was when Paul toured. That was the first time I ever saw him live.
I would love to see that tour.
That was an amazing, amazing tour. I mean, I cannot tell you how exciting that tour was. I mean, I saw him twice on that tour. The first time, being from Chicago, I saw him at the Rosemont Horizon in December of '89. And then I saw the last day on that tour in, I guess it was like July, I'm not quite sure, 1990 at Soldier Field. And that still stands as the best concert I've ever been to. We were on the field, at the end of the concert, there were these fireworks. And I mean, it was, I will never forget that. As long as I live. It was really humid that day. And he just kept coming out for encore after encore. And I just graduated from high school at the time. So I was a lot younger and a lot more energetic. He wore us out. I mean, he walked out like, I don't know how many encores this was. And I swear to God, we were all, as I said, it was humid. We were all just like sweaty and exhausted. And he came out and he's like, "Yo, you guys ready to rock?" And we're just like, eh. It was great. So Flowers in the Dirt. Now that I used to love that album. Over the years, I don't know if it's aged as well as some of his other albums. I will give you that. It hasn't aged as well.
But I mean, 5 of the songs, they're like top 25 McCartney songs for me. That's how much I still like the album.
Ah, okay. It's
the bottom cuts are just bottom for me.
Wow. Okay. So you didn't like the Elvis Costello collaboration?
Like, I don't even like the song Mistress and Maid from Off the Ground. I know how sacrilegious that is.
It's not my favorite of their collaborations. I'll give you that. It's not my all-time favorite of theirs. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so yeah, I will give you that album hasn't aged as well as some of his other ones have. But I mean, when that came out, I mean, I was just like, this is the best album ever. And, and then, yeah, you listen to it all these years later and you're just like, some of the stuff he's done since then, I think has, like on Flaming Pie for sure. I think yep, that has aged better.
Yeah.
For sure.
Favorite three George Harrison albums. I know kind of All Things Must Pass is like
that's a given. Yeah, so All Things Must Pass, Cloud Nine. This is not really in any particular order, but All Things Must Pass, Cloud Nine, 33 and a Third.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love 33 and a Third so much.
And I love George Harrison too. I mean,
that's number one for me.
Yeah, 33 and a Third and George Harrison are, I mean, those two, and yeah, because that's the thing, George Harrison just misses the top three. I mean, just misses it. It's both those albums were great, great comebacks for him, after he went through that period with, Dark Horse, Extra Texture, all that. I mean, those are just wonderful albums. But Cloud Nine, partially kind of sentimental for me. That came out when I was a sophomore in high school. I mean, that was such a comeback for him. And, we did that episode recently on Talk More Talk, and it was such a joy to revisit that. And that was a great, great album. Hardly, I mean, it was another one of those where even the weak cuts were what?
Our masterpieces, basically.
Exactly. But I'm glad 33 and a Third. I'm really glad that you love that too, because I mean, I think for a while that was overlooked. And I think in recent years, it's getting more attention.
Same with the self-titled.
Exactly. I mean, those two, I think for years were criminally overlooked. And I think now, and I'm glad that, younger generations are rediscovering them because they deserve it for sure.
What about your least favorite Harrison album?
Oh boy, that's a tie. I used to say Gone Troppo, but over the years though, there are some cuts on that I now hesitate to say that, because there are actually a couple of decent cuts on there.
That's the Way It Goes is one of his best.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So so now I'm like, maybe not. Trying to think if I would say, I guess I would say maybe Extra Texture. It's just a little, it's just not one that I play that much. It's just it's okay. I hate to say worst, because as I look back, like every album of his, there really isn't one that I haven't found at least one or two songs that I like.
I mean, every song I think every solo Beatle album, there's one good song at least.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So it's hard to say like, oh, that album was horrible, because I mean, there's at least one, because I was about to say Dark Horse, and I'm like, well, but I like the song Dark Horse. I mean, that's a great time. I mean, he wasn't in, of course, a wonderful voice on that album. That was not a great period for him either, but probably Extra Texture is the one that I play the least. So I guess I'd have to go with that one.
Yeah. But so favorite Wilburys album?
Oh, the first one. No question. First one. Yeah. Yeah, first one, no question. I mean, that was such a joy. The second one had great, or the third one, shall we say, had great moments too. Had some fun moments too. But boy, that first one, I mean, just that lineup was just, you can't talk about a super group. Come on.
Scream, I say Traveling Wilburys.
Yep.
But yeah, favorite Ringo album. I think this is a little obvious.
Still have to go with Ringo. I mean, that is, not only was that his best, but I think overall that is just a solid pop rock album. I mean, just some great cuts for any artist. I mean, just some top shelf pop, and I mean, just from start to finish. Well crafted, well produced. Still, I think stands as his best. However, Time Takes Time is second choice. I thought, yep, that I love that album, and it should have been bigger.
That's a really overlooked album.
It sure is, and it suffered from, Ringo was just coming back, having been through rehab, and was trying to rebuild his career, and he went with a small label. I assume it's just because that's all he could get at the time, and I think they just didn't have the money to promote it. And had they been able to promote it more, I think, I'm not saying it would have been number one. I'm not that delusional, but I mean, I wouldn't have gone number one. I mean, let's be real. Yeah. But I think it could have been a bigger success than it was, because I mean, that they had some great songwriters and producers. I mean, Ringo was a great voice. Should have been a bigger success.
I agree.
Yeah, and way overlooked. So that comes in a close second.
What is your least favorite Ringo album?
Oh gosh. I would probably, and again, I hesitate to say this, but probably, I guess I'd say Ringo the Fourth, because while there are one or two kind of fun tracks on there, there are some, yeah. I mean, I can't remember the name of it now, but there's one that, like, let's just say, I mean, it was some really, like, he was way into his partying days in that one, and he sounded like it. And I mean, I just kind of thought, why would he have ever agreed to let this go on the record? I mean, why would he have heard his voice and said, yeah, great?
It's almost entertaining. It's so bad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but really, I just thought, why in the world would he have heard that and just like, yeah, I sound great, let's put that on the album? I mean, I would have had that burned. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't know. One album though, and we're going to talk about this on a future show, that used to get a lot of flack, but I think is now getting renewed appreciation, is Bad Boy. That used to get a lot of flack, and I think now looking back on it, it did have some moments on it, and that was during a not so great period. But so yeah, you're getting all kinds of previews of future Talk More Talks.
I know. So, getting into our topic.
All right.
How old were you when this was released?
Oh my God. I was, gosh, so that came out in, what was it, 74? Was that? Yeah. 74. So I was 2. So yeah, I wasn't listening to it back then. Yeah, I discovered it. Probably I was, not around your age, because I was just getting into the Beatles when I was 13. So I probably didn't start hearing. I didn't listen to that probably until I was like around in high school.
Interesting.
Yeah, it came later. Because I was like getting in the Beatles first, then got into some of the solo stuff, except for Paul. Okay. With Paul, it was the reverse.
I'm glad you weren't scared to listen to it. I was afraid to.
Plastic Ono Band scared me more.
11-year-old me listening to it on my 11th birthday because I had gone out to get it.
Oh, wow.
I was terrified.
Yeah. Plastic Ono Band scared me a lot more, like hearing Mother, and before that hearing Cold Turkey. Whoa.
I mean, Imagine was like the first album that I ever owned. So.
Oh wow. See, that's a much, that's a better introduction,
Plastic Ono Band with production.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be a less of a rude awakening. Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah. So we'll play or skip. there's one surprising skip that you might find on this album for me.
Ah.
Um, so going down on love, I love the little bongos that open up the album. It's a perfect way when you play this the on vinyl like I do. Are you a vinyl person?
Yes, I don't play it quite as much as I used to, but I was raised on vinyl. I mean, when I first was getting into it, that's all I knew. Although then in the 80s, then it was more cassettes. I mean, it was, cassettes were cool for a time. Then in the late 80s, then it was CD. And but vinyl still has that warmer sound that that CDs and MP3s can't replicate for sure.
I mean, and before we go, and is this a play or a skip for you?
Oh, it's a play. No
Good.
question. No question. I absolutely love this song. And like many songs on this album, I mean, this is basically him chronicling the lost weekend. I mean, it's absolutely, this is, here, I mean, he's crying out, somebody please, please help me. I mean, he's saying it flat out, drowning in the sea of hatred, getting down on his knees, when the real thing goes wrong. I mean, it's right there. And that's what I love about this album. In addition to, there's just some, great singing by John. It's so honest. I mean, he is just laying out, that, he's partying too hard. While he loves May, he's missing Yoko. I mean, it is all over this. It is all over this album, and this is from the get-go.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just a perfect song. Like, it doesn't get talked about a lot.
No, it really doesn't. And I love how John's voice, kind of imitates the guitar. You got to get down, and the guitar is right there with him imitating. I just it has that kind of bluesy feel to it. I really I love the song. I like how it opens, as you said, those bongos at the beginning get your attention right away. I think it's a great album opener.
It is. And as we get to the next song, Whatever Gets You Through the Night, this is a I know it was a #1 single. I like the song. It has never been a favorite of mine.
Yeah, this would probably be a skip for me. It's fun.
It is.
It's fun. I will say I like the Gimme Some Truth remix.
I was going to say that. I agree with you. It's much better.
Much better, because I like how Tom put it on one of our Talk More Talk shows, that he said the original mix sounded chaotic. And I think, and I'm like, yeah, that's the word I've been looking for. It did. I mean, it just was all over the place. I mean, it was. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, it was like you didn't know as a listener what to focus on. I mean, it was just, you'd hear the sax, and I love my horns, but in this case, it just sounded, and I love a sax solo, but I mean, it just was just lost in just the and the chaos of the background. And then, at times you could barely hear John. I mean, sometimes you could barely hear Elton. I mean, their voices just sometimes kind of blended together, and you couldn't tell what was what. I mean, it just sounded chaotic. But thank God for that remix, because now when you listen to that version, it makes more sense now. I mean, it sounds like a catchier pop tune. It doesn't make it doesn't make me love it that much more, but but it's certainly more enjoyable listening.
You can hear the vocals.
Yeah, you can actually hear the vocals separated. Yeah, and you can tell who's singing, and it's a fun song. I'm not quite sure why it went to number one. I'm I'm a little perplexed as to why it was that big a hit, but as I said, it's fun. Elton's piano is great on it.
I agree.
I mean, Elton, what can you say? It's Elton John. I mean, he's an incredible pianist.
And the horns.
And the horns. It's a horngasm, and now that, and you can hear it. And thank you. Now I can say it freely on your show. Ken doesn't like it. He gives me that that look when I say it, but but it kind of gets lost in the in that original mix, and now you can hear it. So in the remix. But yeah, it's a little, as I said, I've always been a little mystified as to why this was number one, but it's a fun song. But yeah, I generally skip it when because it's also a little played out. It's still played a lot on the radio.
They don't play any Beatles on the radio where I am.
Really?
Oddly. I heard It's All Too Much once. Like, out of all Beatles songs.
Really?
It's All Too Much on the classic rock station.
Wow, that's a deep track.
And I think I've heard Band on the Run.
Okay, once. that I can understand. I mean, that's still
hear that song again. But yeah, it's a played out song for me.
Yep, exactly. Okay, yeah, you don't want your Chromebook to die, that's for sure.
That might I'd have to eat more beef jerky if that happened.
That's right.
So going on to the next track, Old Dirt Road, co-written with Harry Nilsson.
Yes, the great Harry Nilsson, and much missed.
Yeah.
What a talent.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, really. I mean, he was, just of course, incredible singer, and what a songwriter. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just a beautiful song, beautiful kind of piano driven in a way.
It really was, and this was. We talked about on last night on Talk More Talk how some songs are growers, and this was one of those for me. When I first got this album, first heard this song, I wasn't crazy about it at first. This is kind of it's a slow builder. It's a more contemplative kind of song, and it takes multiple listens to really appreciate it. This isn't one of those songs like Going Down on Love and all that, it grabs you immediately. Yeah. I mean, so this one, first time I heard it, I just kind of thought, don't know. But over the years, I've really grown to appreciate it. As I said, it's contemplative, but yeah, beautiful piano, as you mentioned, and some really interesting lyrics. Almost poetic.
I agree.
Yeah, like in the second verse, ain't no difference on the old dirt road, tarred and feathered on the old dirt road, trying to shovel smoke with a pitchfork in the wind. I mean, just
like a Bob Dylan song.
It does. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it does. It is kind of a Bob Dylan sort of, breezing through the deadwood on a hot summer day. I saw a human being lazy, boning out in the hay. I said, "Hey, Mr. Human, can you rainmaker too?" I mean, yeah, it is. Yeah, that is very Dylan-esque. That's very true. So there is this sort of break in the, the chronicling the sort of the frenzy and all of the last weekend for this sort of contemplative song. So yeah, so this is a really different kind of song for John to do, but it definitely, you can hear Harry's influence on this.
Mm-hmm. Are you a Dylan fan, just by curiosity?
You know what, I'm not a fan of his voice. But his songs are incredible. I mean, his poetry is just amazing. So a lot of times I like when other people do his songs. And there have been times where I've heard a song and I'll think, oh my God, that's beautiful. And then I'll later found out like Dylan wrote that. I can't believe it. So I like a few songs that he sang himself, but there are some though that like All Along the Watchtower and stuff like that, Jimmy doing it. Yeah. But when he does them, but I actually gained a lot more respect for him when I did a chapter for wrote a chapter for a collection that Ken Womack edited, where I talked about, originally it was supposed to be a chapter on how Bob Dylan influenced the Beatles songwriting. And it ended up, I wrote a chapter about how they influenced each other, because I felt like it kind of worked both ways.
I agree.
Yeah. And the more I had to then really delve deeply into his songwriting, deeper than I had before, I really gained much more of an appreciation of his work. And so I've since become, more of a Dylan fan than I was before. But again, of his songwriting, more than his voice.
I mean, not the.
Yeah, I just can't get next to that. But songwriter, absolutely, genius, absolute genius. But yep.
Long tangent.
Yeah.
We're good at those too.
We are good at those, absolutely.
That's what podcasting is about.
You bet. That's what we're good at.
It's basically tangents and puns.
That's right. That's what you should rename your podcast. Tangents and puns. I like that.
So the next track, this is a really good rocker. One of the few rockers in John's solo career, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
what
and
you got?
This is one of my not only favorites from this album, but one of my favorites of John's, period. I love this song. It's I mean, first of all, John's voice on this is incredible.
This is like twist and shout vocal.
Yes. It's I agree. It is like that level. I mean, just from the first line, I mean, it just shreds. I mean, his voice just shreds. It's incredible. But what's interesting though is, of course, when you listen to the lyrics, you first start hearing this and you're like, oh yeah, this is a song where he's going to be like, I just got to rip it up. And you're like, yeah, this is about partying. And then of course you listen to the lyrics, and he goes in another direction, where it's, you don't know what you got until you lose it. Baby, give me one more chance. So in other words, he's saying, yeah, this partying's great for a while. And then as he sings, come Monday, I've just got to run away. It's such a drag to face another day. I mean, it like goes into this whole other direction. And so which I mean, is so clever. I mean, that you think this is going to be about a party, and then, and again, this is about the lost weekend, right?
It is.
I mean, that's what it's about. But the guitar on this is incredible. It's just such a, kind of a paradoxical song that, if you're not listening closely, you think this is just another great rocker and about, just ripping it up and all, but it's yet another song about him being in pain.
This may be my favorite track on the album.
Yeah, it may be my favorite too. This is definitely not a skip.
No, I think we'd be insane.
Yeah, exactly. I would absolutely expect you, if I had said this is a skip, to have you boot me off this show right now.
Would. It would cause some chaos and creation.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, well, his vocals on this are just incredible.
The way the song opens, like, I mean, Old Dirt Road's very calm, and then it's just the banner. I mean, I'm not a very good guitar player. So.
Yeah. I can't play it also, so you've got one over me.
I can play Let It Be, and that's it.
Oh, well, that's good.
And then I let the guitar be.
Yeah. See what you did there. Yeah.
But so yeah, definitely a play.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next song, Bless You. Beautiful
Okay.
song.
You've probably heard me on different shows. I have defended this song many times.
I defend it too.
I
used to be bad.
Yep, that's right. Ain't gonna be bad no more. And I mean, I had a friend. I had an argument with a friend once about this song because he was saying, "Oh, this is just typical of '70s ballads, like soft rock." Well, give me a break. First of all, okay, so it's a '70s ballad. So what? I mean, first of all, so what? What's wrong with '70s ballads? I think this is one of his most beautiful, tender songs. I mean, this was, first of all, just talk about going from, from complete opposites. Here we have What You Got, where he, just was wailing on his voice. And then you have Bless You, which is, he has the soft, sensitive, almost fragile kind of vocal in many parts of this song. Love the keyboards on this too. Really, really nice keyboards. And he's both, you can tell he's, longing for Yoko and hoping that they, hoping they get back together, although accepting it may not happen.
Right.
But not only that, he's blessing the man that she may be with. I mean, that's pretty big of him to do. I mean, wow.
I don't think I would be doing that if I was John.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's pretty big of him.
Yeah.
And just beautiful, gorgeous lyrics. It's bless you wherever you are, windswept child on a shooting star, restless spirits depart, still we're deep in each other's hearts.
That's just beautiful.
It's beautiful. It really is. And it's just and as I said, his voice on this is just so gentle, tender. I love it. I think it's one of my favorite John songs, period.
I don't love it as much as you, but it's an underrated track.
Yep. It really is. And yeah, to those who say it's just another sloppy sweetie, 70s ballad, so what? It's well done. It's beautiful.
But yeah, definitely just a beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't hear you. Did you mute? Yep, I can't hear you.
I can hear you now.
Okay, I can hear you.
Zoom in and zoom out.
Yeah, that's right. Zoom in, zoom out. We're all connected.
But next track, which is I think like the most Plastic Ono Band-esque song on this album, Scared. This could have gone right on Plastic Ono Band.
I completely agree. I mean, this is raw. It really is. Talk about honest. This is about as honest as it gets. Yeah. I like how he plays with, the word scared, starting out by saying scared, and then in the second verse, I'm scarred.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, I mean, talk about confessional. And I like that, I like how that connection. I think that's true. He could have put this on Plastic Ono Band. I mean, hatred and jealousy going to be the death of me. I guess I knew it right from the start. Sing out about love and peace. Don't want to see the red raw meat, the green-eyed goddamn straight from your heart. Whoa. I mean, that is honesty.
They probably had to put an explicit sticker on this.
Yeah, back then. Yeah, today he would have absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, Plastic Ono Band would be an explicit sticker
it does
too.
on iTunes, I think.
Does it really? Oh
Yeah,
wow!
on Working Class Hero.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course. Yep. Yeah, I mean, boy, I mean, he is, laying out his feelings here. I mean, he was scared. Yeah, every day of my life, I just managed to survive. I just want to stay alive. I mean, that was the place he was in. And I saw an interview, or I read an interview that he did in 1980, shortly before his death, where he talked about this album, and he said, yeah, and he said, you hear it on this album. He's like, I was depressed. He said, you see it on this whole thing. And in fact, he seemed to kind of almost find it painful to listen to, because he said, that's where I was at that time in my life. Well, here's exhibit A. I mean, this is it. So you really, he was laying it bare. And again, you have that blues kind of feeling, that blues guitar. Yeah, it really is. And so, it's not certainly, joyful to listen to, but it is. But like the Plastic Ono Band album, I mean, it's you're getting him unfiltered.
Right. And that's the John that I like.
Exactly.
Unfiltered John.
Unfiltered.
That's why John's my favorite.
Yep, exactly. And that's, that was, I think, what made him such a unique artist, is that he, would do that. I mean, you would get, particularly from Paul and George, you would get glimpses of that in their music, but, maybe touches of it, but not like this. No. Yeah, I mean, that's what made him unique.
I think George a little bit with Brainwashed. I thought that was pretty personal.
Yeah. Yep. And you'd see it a little bit on Cloud 9 in some touches, little bits, like, you could tell he wasn't too fond of the press and about gossiping. And, I think like
that's
there was
the best song on the album, though.
Yeah. Yep. It's a great song. And lines like, they say I don't get out, or you wonder why I don't get out too much. I mean, lines about him, Dever said he was reclusive and that kind of stuff. So you see little flashes of it there. But yeah, and and I guess there were some songs that maybe on Gone Troppo where he did sort of refer to his partying, George's partying phase in the 70s, but John consistently, really was really autobiographical in his songs. And there's yet another example of Scared. I mean, that's about as stripping yourself naked as you can get. Yeah.
I mean, I'm waiting for this box set.
Yeah, I hope so. I would love a Walls and Bridges box set.
It's like, Plastic Ono Band. Not that it's not a big deal, but I'm waiting for Mind Games and Plastic Ono Band.
Yep.
I mean, Walls and Bridges.
Walls and Bridges. Yeah, exactly. I would love it. Absolutely. I mean, and I mean, I understand Plastic Ono Band was an extremely important album. I mean, no question. But yeah, bring on Walls and Bridges the box set. I'd love it.
Yeah.
For sure.
We're still waiting for Early Takes Volume 2 for the Harrison estate.
Yeah.
I don't know when we're getting.
Yeah. How long has that been?
When's Live in Japan gonna come back in print?
Yeah, exactly. I would love that, and a remaster of that, because the original recording wasn't that great. I mean, the quality. I'd love a good remaster of that.
Same with Mind Games.
Yes, that too. Exactly.
I mean, this 2002 mix is the only way to go.
The original. Not very good.
I still love the original, but it's like, can I Mind Games?
Yeah. I mean, the original mixes, they were a little, I'm trying to think of how, a little blurry. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, just dull.
Kind of like with Wings Over America too.
Yeah. I mean, and live recordings have gotten, a lot better since then. So, some good remastering. Let's go.
That was a long tangent.
Yes. That's okay.
Tangents and Bridges.
Yeah, that's right.
My podcast.
There you go. Tangents and Bridges. There you go. That's the title of this episode.
Yeah, it might be. So flipping over the record, side 2.
All right. There we go. Yep. Yep.
I don't know why, but I love that drawing.
Yeah, there's some great drawings. Yeah, his sketches and all there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, Number 9 Dream. Now, this was actually one of the first songs when I started getting into John as a solo artist that I was drawn to. I really like this song a lot. I have to admit, I'm kind of burned out on it, a bit burned out on it now. But I still think it's a great, it's just such a mysterious, so I mean, there's just nothing else like it in his catalog. I mean, it's just so, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. I mean, there's just nothing like it. I can't think of anything that even sounds remotely like it now. Yeah, I mean, it does sound like a dream. I mean, it really, from start to finish, it has such a, ethereal kind of quality. There are just so many parts of this that are fascinating. I love the bass in parts of it. Of course, John's voice, as we all know, John hated his voice, and yet he could do so much with it.
I agree.
And this is a good example. He did so many things. I mean, he really was able to, almost like he did on Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. He was able, on this too, he was able to kind of, make his voice, hold the way he held some of the notes and all sound like it was sort of a floating kind of effect.
I agree.
Yeah. And, he really did this on here. And then of course, in the chorus, the pseudo foreign language that he uses, and which just makes it even more, kind of eerie, and of course May Pang makes a cameo, which calling out his name, and supposedly that was based on a dream John had. Yep, and 2 women calling out his name. So he really did, I think, achieve that effect, that dream-like effect. I mean, you do feel like as you're listening to it that you're in this in the midst of this kind of swirling sound.
Yeah. So I came to this song actually on Shave Fish.
Oh yeah, sure.
So, and on that's a horrible version on the vinyl.
Yeah.
Original. That's it's all cluttered, and it's half of the lyrics are cut off, I think.
Oh, really? Wow.
I think it's the same for Woman is the N-word of the world.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I like that song, but another
Yep.
episode.
Yep, that's a whole other episode, yeah.
Ooh, I might get a lot of criticism for that episode when I defend that record.
Yep.
But I hated this song on first listen. Now
really?
I love it.
Yeah, oh, now you love it, okay.
9-year-old me was like, what in the world? But now I don't know why this was not number 1. And my favorite line is, I think magic in the air. Was it magic in the air? I believe, yes, I believe. More I cannot say. What more can I say? Like, the vocals on that line are just beautiful.
Yep.
This whole album vocally, I think, is his best overall.
Yeah.
Including Beatles.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This is how much I love this record.
Wow. Okay. My goodness. Well, he was in great voice in this record. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think I first heard this song. I think I heard it on the radio because for a while this was played a lot on the radio because it wasn't number 1, but it was a hit back in the day, and so they were still playing it like on classic rock. on classic rock radio when classic rock was still a really, in the 80s, it was like a really popular format. And so, this used to be played a lot. And yeah, I kind of had the similar reaction when I first heard it, which was, what? And, but yeah, the more you listen to it, it's just like, this is weird, but it's really good. I mean, it's just so different. And yeah, I mean, his voice is so like, I don't know, it draws you in. It's hypnotic.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it really, and the way it makes his voice sound different, like like the lines you just said, or on the when he says, on the river sound through the mirror go round and round, and the way he did, I mean, it just, yeah, I mean, you listen to this on headphones and you're just like, I feel weird.
I agree. And the drawing in the book.
Mm-hmm.
This cover, this is what I think of Number 9 Dream.
Yeah.
Not my whatever gets you through the night.
Yeah, right. But this is a classic. What can you say? It really is. It's really just so creative. Now, as I said, nothing like it since then.
I agree.
Yep.
Next track we have Surprise, Surprise, Sweet Bird of Paradox. This might be my second favorite on the album.
Really? Okay, this is one. Okay, I hope you won't boot me off the show. This is one that it's okay. It's not one of my favorites. It's okay. I mean, I don't hate it. It's it's good. It's I know, of course, it's his tribute to May Pang, and it's very sweet. I mean, he clearly loved her, and when you read the lyrics and hear them, she obviously he felt really pulled him out of a very dark place.
Yeah.
Gets me through this god awful loneliness. And I mean, sure, a lot of it's through, a lot of it is pure, he's referring to her in sexual terms, but also in terms, I mean, clearly, but also in terms of that she also pulled him out of depression and dark time, and kind of kept him from going completely crazy. I mean, you definitely get that sense too. So, so it's a very nice tribute for sure, but it's just not one of the absolute highlights for me of this album. Now, one coming up is one of the highlights, but it's going up soon. But it's nice. I mean, it's just not like, not one of the big highlights for me. But why do you like it so much? Maybe convince me.
I don't know why. I love the lyrics. I think I like the vocal harmonies from Elton.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an Elton fan.
Oh yeah, Elton's great.
Fan. But like I don't know why, but I like this song a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a play for me.
Yep. yeah. The title's clever. Yeah. You like puns?
Might be my favorite.
And the guitar, I like the guitar on it too.
I do.
Yeah.
And was the coming up pun, was that intended? The coming up?
No, coming up. That was 1980.
Yeah.
So unless he was a fortune teller, or Paul heard this maybe, and
No, but you saying coming up, was that?
Oh, okay, yep. I sometimes say puns, and I just don't even know it.
That was me, and I got booted off a Zoom call with Ethan.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Oh my God. Was there a no puns allowed rule that he violated?
He didn't need a temporary secretary anymore.
Oh my God. Oh man, that is funny.
Yeah.
man.
But yeah, it's a play for me.
All right. Maybe
Steal-
I'll listen to it again.
Stealing Glass.
Okay, this is definitely not a skip for me.
I
This is incredible. This is another one that could have been on Plastic Ono Band.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, this is powerful. This is another one that boy, does he strip himself naked here. You know, I mean, he's like calling himself out on this. I mean, he really is. And musically, it's kind of a cross between Working Class Hero, and in some cases musically, it kind of sounds like How Do You Sleep?
I agree.
Yeah, doesn't it? I mean, when I first heard it, I was just like, what does this sound like? And I'm like, How Do You Sleep? That's it.
Yeah.
But it's really, you know, it just, as I said, he's calling himself out. I mean, you know, there you stand with your LA tan and your New York, yeah, and your New York walk and your New York talk. Your mother left you when you were small, but you're going to wish you weren't born at all. Gee, who could he be talking about? You know, and I mean, you know, and he's kind of saying what, you know, what have you become? What are you, you know, look at yourself. And it's, I mean, what a brave thing to do. I mean, I mean, that is really brave to say, you know, look at yourself and what you've become, and you know, during this time, you know, you're partying in LA, and you know, you're separated from your wife, you're you know, partying way too much. What are you doing? You know, so yeah, I mean, it's really, I just think that is so brave to do.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah,
Glass, just a masterpiece.
it really,
It's probably the one song that gets talked about the most on this album, I think.
yeah, yep. I mean, it's just such a brave song to do. It really is, and yeah, definitely one of the highlights of the album for me.
One of the highlights of his whole career.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would say that, you know, and it was one of the songs when I first heard it that I was kind of like, you know, I think when I first heard this album when I was much younger, I was, you know, it was a little like, whoa. I mean, like, you know, you know, it was a little, I don't know, scary is the word, but I mean, it was just, you know, too raw almost. But then, you know, when I got a little older, and particularly understood the whole story about him, then, you know, then it makes complete sense.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a little scared.
Yeah.
I will admit, when I first heard this song.
Yeah, I mean, there's just something like, yeah, really. But then, as I said, when you you know, hear the whole, you understand his story, then it makes complete sense.
Right. So, moving on to the next track, Beef Jerky. Oh, I love this instrumental.
Yeah,
I defend it to death.
This is funky. This is a funky. I love his some of his instrumentals, and this is great. This is just
better
funky.
Than the A side.
Yeah. Yep, this is just funky jam. You know, I wish he did more of these. Yep, I mean, this. Yeah, and I agree. I defend it too, because yeah, there's some people like, oh, wait, it's just a throwaway instrumental. No, it isn't.
This was like my favorite song when I first heard the album, actually.
Yep, I know. I think this was on a B side.
Whatever gets through you.
Yes, and I agree. I liked it better than the A side. I agree.
Yeah,
yep.
That's whatever gets you through the night. And
there you go.
Jerky.
Yep. Now mine, I did not have the Apple version, so that is very cool. That
you had the Capitol version.
Yes, I did. I had the Capitol version. Yep, I could not get the Apple one back then, and so yeah, so exactly. I was kind of like, whenever it gets you through, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is fine. And then yeah, when I flipped it over, I was like, wow, I like this a lot better. Yeah. So, yep, I agree. That was so absolutely just a fun jam, funky. You know, I love when John explored his R&B side, and you know, in addition to the rock, you know, I mean, this is rock, but it definitely has some funk undertones to it, and yep, love it. Not a skip for sure.
This is like the highlight. This is like the highlight of the B-side.
Oh yeah, oh for sure, one of the highlights for me, no question.
Yeah. So moving on to the next track, Nobody Loves You When You're Down and Out. This almost could have been on Plastic Ono Band as well.
I agree. Yep. This is another, I mean, again, talk about a confessional kind of song. I mean, he's kind of sort of a blues themed kind of song. And yeah, I mean, he's again just sort of lamenting where he is in his life, where he definitely was feeling down and out. I mean, wow. In the bridge, well, I get up in the morning and I'm looking in the mirror to see, then I'm lying in the darkness and I know I can't get to sleep. I mean, again, he's, looking at himself, where he is, and I mean, geez, nobody loves you when you're old and gray. Nobody needs you when you're upside down. Everybody's hollering about their own birthday. Everybody loves you when you're 6 foot in the ground. I mean, whoa. I mean, it's just a painfully honest, I mean, he is, when he mentioned in that interview about, being depressed this time, well, here you go. I mean, this is the ultimate example. But it's, in the way he sings it in this very subdued kind of voice. I mean, as we talked about, he does so many different things with his voice on this album.
I know, it's crazy.
Yep.
Everybody says that, all he did was sit in the bed and he was drunk.
Yeah.
Maybe for the rock and roll sessions we can debate that. But
yeah, and that's an important thing to point out, that was a myth for a long time. I'm not saying that, I mean, of course, when he was in LA, he did plenty of partying. He, there were some crazy times, but that he did nothing productive. I mean, this is, now he went to New York to record this, I know, to get away from, a lot of that madness. But the fact that he was able, out of all that, to record an album like this, I mean, shows that he wasn't just completely, like, as you said, just drunk all the time and lying in bed, not doing anything. I mean, this shows, I mean, he wasn't completely just not able to produce anything. Here, I mean, this is I think one of his best albums.
I think it is his best.
Mm-hmm.
That later.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, rock and roll sessions. I mean, he was working for Phil Spector, so I guess you can't blame him.
Yeah, right. I mean, exactly. I mean, that's that. I mean, that was, not a good thing to work with Phil Spector at that, particularly at that point.
Yeah, he had already gone down his rabbit hole.
Boy, that's the truth. Yeah. So, it was
why he was a crazy one.
Yes. For sure. Wow. But yeah, this is another, as you said, could have been on Plastic Ono Band, and another just painfully honest song. But again, that's what made him so great.
It did. And I echo everything you say about that
song. Well, thank you.
I mean, my favorite line is, I think I've seen the one-eyed witch doctor leading the blind. Just so John-esque.
Exactly.
Like, it sounds like a traveling Wilburys line.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that he's still able to put in some, like, kind of, dark humor, but yeah, I mean, some humor in there. For writing songs, I mean, that's John.
I agree.
Absolutely.
So going on to the last song on the album, Yeah.
Yeah,
I love this song.
Oh no, I was gonna say yeah, Skip.
I love it in the context of the album. I think it's a perfect way to close this record.
Really?
I think it is. It works so perfectly.
I mean, I like the song. I mean, the song is a rock and roll classic, but I just wish, and of course he did later, he did re-record it normally, I felt like it was more, because of, he just sort of recorded this, like, okay, I have to do this for legal obligations, so let's just, um, let's just do this. And of course, Julian playing the drums, so young Julian. And, I just felt like it was just kind of like, okay, let's just do this for 10 seconds or so. All right, we're done. We're done. Okay, we out, that fills. It just didn't, it was just kind of disappointing. Like, oh, I didn't need, put in more energy for like a good version, and then, as I said, he did do a regular version later. So that one was a little, but I mean, maybe that was also John's sense of humor. I don't know, but I don't know. Why do you like it?
I think the album would have yet ended on a sour note with no.
Well, that's true.
Down and out. It almost reminds me of like the Memory Almost Full album. You go the end of the end and nod your head.
Oh yeah, that's
nod
true.
Your head was and like because that's like a dark Paul song, the end of the end, which I think it's one of his best songs ever. But
great song.
Nod Your Head just brought the mood up to close the album.
Okay, I see your point.
But it is kind of a throwaway song. So I kind of like it, but kind of don't.
Yeah.
Play it in the context of the record.
Okay, I see your point. Yeah, I just wish it had been a like a better version, because I see what you're saying about not wanting to end on a dour note. I see that, but yeah, I just wish he had done like a, better version of it, because it's a great song. It's a great, old rock classic, but, and then of course he would redo it for the rock and roll album, but yeah, so I just wish he had done like a, as I said, a normal, or full-throated version of it.
I agree.
Yep.
And, did you buy the CD remaster in 2005?
I didn't. No, I did not. I did not get that one.
Did you get the 2010 one?
I'm trying to remember if I got that one. I don't think I did. I don't think I got that one. I got the and I haven't listened to it to what I got the anthology. I did get the anthology box set, that came up. Yeah, I did get that one, which had a lot of interesting, outtakes and stuff like that. I'm a nerd when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I haven't listened to it in a while, but I did get that. But I do need to get those, a bunch of those remasters. I got kind of behind on that stuff. So I have to go and get a bunch of those, all the different remasters. Yeah, I think that was a period of time when, that was a period of time when I was working on my dissertation. And so I was kind of MIA for a while with some of when those remasters were coming out. So I wasn't getting those. So I need to do some catching up with that.
The old dirt road back and buy them.
That's right. I need to take that old dirt road back and catch up with those. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, because I'll tell you, for a while, it was like, remasters and all were just coming out like, just like crazy, and it was hard to keep up with every single one of them. But I'm definitely going to catch up on all that. Well, and of course this year we've got so much box sets and everything to catch up on that. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be nuts.
That wallet is gonna be like, there's no room to buy any other records.
I know, like in some ways I want Paul to come out with another archive set, but in a way I don't this year, because it's like we've got the All Things Must Pass, Plastic Ono Band, and then of course the Get Back, Let It Be, Get Back stuff. Yeah. It's just, in a way, it's just like, could you just give like some break in between?
I just want my reissues of the Paul albums. I want my Off the Ground on vinyl. So
yes.
I have to sell my kidney for it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Just just give us some breaks
That's
so we
why I
can.
was so excited when Flaming Pie was out.
Oh, that was great. I mean, yeah, that was such a great box set. I love that. That was, yeah. I'm sorry it didn't win the Grammy for that, because I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, from the videos that I watched, because I
Mhm.
didn't want to sell a kidney to get it, but
Yeah, it really was. It was beautifully well.
it looked beautiful. But the
Yeah.
LP remaster was wonderful.
Yep, yep, and yeah, and I stopped collecting vinyl for a while because, and I probably will restart that sometime, but I just ran out of room. I mean, I was really into collecting that like in the 80s
Oh,
and
interesting.
90s. Yeah, I was into that for a while, and then I just finally had to stop because I just ran out of room. But I'm hoping to go back to that sometime.
You'll have
But
to you'll have to guess on Joe Mayo's channel showing vinyl.
yeah. Yeah, I had to take a hiatus from that because I'm just like, I've got no more room.
Yeah.
But I was into that for a while, and I still love vinyl. I
Oh,
mean, it's, as I said, it's better sound.
but you still like play vinyl on occasion.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And and as I said, I grew up on it. I mean, that was all there was.
Yeah.
Growing up, and it was, yeah. I mean, I felt sad when for a while. I mean, there was. I'm so glad that it made a comeback, because for a while, I mean, you couldn't get it.
I know.
Unless you, yeah, I mean, it was, I mean, unless you went to like record shows. I mean, that was about it, or Beatle Fests.
Yeah.
You could get it there, but
Bootlegs
that,
in the bootlegs in the hotel rooms,
yeah,
right?
exactly. I mean, that was about it. I mean, that was about it. And record stores were just closing left and right. I mean, it was terrible. And now it's so great to see them coming back. Because I was really scared that there were going to be generations of people who would never walk into a music store. I just, like, that's horrible.
I know.
I mean,
It's so bad.
yeah, I mean, I just thought that, like, okay, fine, you can buy music instantly off of iTunes and whatever, you can stream. It's not the same.
No, it isn't.
It
It is
really is.
kind of convenient. Like, you can be like, oh, this person's listening to this. I can check it out
Hmm.
on Spotify.
Right. For certain things, it's fine. I mean,
And, like, certain, like, albums that are really rare to get physically
yes,
and are very out of print, I think. But other than that, and running for me,
right. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
about it.
For certain things, it's okay. But yeah, it does. And I will say, for travel and things like
Oh,
that, it's,
yes.
yeah, I mean, that's very convenient. But but for like serious listening and collecting, I mean, there's just nothing,
Yeah.
nothing beats, and nothing beats going to a physical store and looking at things, and talking with fellow fans and all that. I mean, there's just nothing that beats that. So, but
Thank you so much, Kit, for coming on the show.
oh, it's my pleasure. This was so fun. I love talking, I love talking music, and it was an absolute pleasure to talk about this with you, Hudson. And I'm just so impressed with your knowledge and your enthusiasm, and this was great.
Is there anything you would like to plug?
Well, of course. Well, as you mentioned, Talk More Talk, Solo Beatles video cast. We're on every other Monday, and Hudson is usually in the comments, and always has great points to make, and love having you part of the show. So we're on every other Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. You just go over to our Facebook page if you want to be part of the live show. And if you just want to watch or listen, you can find us on YouTube. And so go over there and subscribe. You can also find us on virtually any podcasting platform pretty much anywhere you can find this show. So you look for both of us. So you can find that. As Hudson mentioned, just preaching my book here, this new book that Ken Womack and I have edited called Fandom and The Beatles. The act you've known for all these years. It's a book about really studying how fandom has changed from first generation fans through fans today, including broadcasting and how the internet has changed fandom. How tribute bands, there's a chapter in here from someone who plays in tribute bands, and how tribute bands kind of walk a fine line between sort of copying how a band, how the Beatles play, and yet trying to put their own kind of stamp on the music, and how you have to balance the two. There's a lot of different kinds of articles like that in the book. I think you'll really enjoy it. That's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, so you can go check that out. And of course, my books, Songs We Were Singing, Guided Tours to the Beatles, Lesser Known Tracks, and Michael Jackson FAQ, All That's Left to Know About the King of Pop. Those are over on Amazon, so you can go check those out. And I think that's everything.
Leave links for that.
Oh, thank you.
I know can be found on Spotify and YouTube, primarily. Still working on Anchor. I'm still waiting for Apple to approve of me.
It can be slow.
Yes.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe if you like what you hear, and go check out Kit's channel and everything. And as I always say, zoom in, zoom out. Peace. And if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there.